What it do? You are listening to the Chronic and Shank Variety Conversation podcast for winners and really cool people, where two brains from two different countries and zero filters collide in conversations that go wherever the topic takes us.
We're your hosts. I'm Shank.
And I'm Chronic. We talk about whatever we're into: music, culture, weird news, deep thoughts, dumb thoughts, and everything in between.
This isn't your average podcast. It's a vibe, a hangout, and a conversation with two people who probably think too much. Or maybe not enough.
So, lighters unite, tune in, and let's get into it, because if you're listening to this, you're already a winner and definitely really cool.
Today's topic is video games and what makes us love them specifically.
But before we get started, remember to slap that subscribe button like it owes you money and show that like thumb some love.
All right, Chronic. So, like I said in the intro there, we're going to be talking today about video games and what makes us love them specifically. So, let's let you get started. Where did your love for video games come from?
Oh, man. Well, lucky enough for me, I'm 24 years old. So, I got to kind of get into gaming really when it started, I guess, revolutionizing everything in terms of graphics, performance, gameplay features, how much could be added in the game, how complex the stories were. Like, for instance, I vividly remember the Halo 2 and Halo 3 releases. Like, I remember how much of a big deal that was, and how much of a difference Halo 2 to Halo 3 was. But I guess what you could say what got me initially into gaming was just Halo. Like when I was younger, I remember very vividly with my brothers and all of my cousins. They were all quite a bit older than me. My brother's about 11 years older than I am.
Yeah.
Um, I would always go over there. They would have LAN parties. They'd connect Xboxes. There'd be two Xboxes in one room, two Xboxes in the other room, and they'd all be connected. And we'd all be
Hell
playing one
yeah.
big match of Halo. And
Yeah.
it was those kind of memories really stuck with me. And I always relate to fun with video games. Also, the typical Nintendo games and stuff like that I play with my family and my aunt and stuff like that. But the thing is, though, when I played Nintendo, I didn't appreciate it like I do now, because I'm definitely a Nintendo fan full-heartedly now. But I didn't appreciate it then because it was almost like playing a board game with your family. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they were like, let's play this family game and yada yada and so on and so forth. And
Nintendo's always kind of been more
the
family
the
friendly,
family
I
one,
think. Yeah.
like that's what
Yeah.
they do. Now I get so much enjoyment playing Mario by myself that like
Yeah.
I never appreciated how well those games actually could be, but instead of just relaying it to a family thing.
Yeah.
But definitely my drive and love for gaming started with Halo. Gradually after that, it obviously piqued my interest. Anytime I went to somebody's house and they had an Xbox or a PlayStation or any kind of gaming console, I'd always kind of like peek over and see what they're playing. I remember my love for like free roam games, which is ultimately like
What you're
my
into
favorite
now. Yeah.
style,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hulk Ultimate Destruction. I don't know if you're familiar with
Dude.
that game.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely. Yeah.
that game.
Yeah.
Once I played that, honestly, that might have been the thing that got me into superheroes. I'm not.
Well, it was a
I'm
bit of a
not gonna
master.
lie.
It
Like,
was a bit of a masterpiece, honestly. Like,
no,
I
one
mean,
hundred
like it
percent.
was a really like that was a game that like because I remember those Halo parties as well. Like that's something
Mhm.
like I was never really an
LAN
Xbox guy
parties do
growing
not
up.
exist anymore.
Like I was more of a PlayStation guy growing up, but I had a
Yep.
lot of friends who were into Xbox, and the greatest thing about it that I used to love is because you used to be able to do like four players on an Xbox, but
Yep.
you could like LAN them up, and you could have like eight players like to or more
Or more. Yep.
all playing Halo. And I remember playing what's the name of that map where it was like the two bases on opposite sides of like the like it was like the small ass map had the rocket launcher in the middle of the map on that thing
Oh, yes, yes. I know.
like you know what I'm talking about though, like it was like
Yes.
Dust Bowl or something like that, or
I'm
like I
sure if we can, we'll try to pull it up somewhere and bring it up on
yeah
screen.
yeah
If anything, if I can find it, I'll send it to you. We'll pull it
yeah
up on screen so chat knows
for
what we're
sure,
talking about.
for sure. But like it was like one of those things that I remember playing on that map with friends and just like blowing each other up in the warthogs, like bombing around in the warthogs
Oh
and
yeah,
like
and just
taking
having the
plasminades and like
greatest time.
yeah, and having a bomb time and like playing games
No pun intended.
but no, we intend our puns here. We intend all, even if it was accidental, we meant to make that pun.
You meant to do it.
Yeah, but like Hulk, like Ultimate Destruction was like definitely one of those games that it was like as far as the superhero genre of video games go, it's like a masterpiece one. Like it
Hmm.
was like a little bit janky, but the perfect amount of jank.
Yeah,
And
and it
it
was
was like
only janky because it was old.
yeah,
Like
exactly
like
right.
they didn't have the technology to make it exactly how they wanted it. So there's certain features that were definitely like that's goofy looking, but
Yeah, but I mean,
you appreciate it.
being able to pick up a car and like punch people with it though, like it's
That was
like
amazing.
that's
That
amazing.
was amazing. You break
Yeah.
it in half and you're just like, "Rah, da, da, da,
Like
da."
yeah, and now I've got
And
a
the
car
story
as
was really
boxing
good
gloves,
too.
and I agree entirely. And I mean, I'm a little bit in a little bit of an older generation than you there, and like I
Yep.
remember like what got me first, like what hooked me big time was Quake. That game
Yes, I've heard that a
because
lot
yeah,
from your age group for
yeah, because
sure.
when I was younger, what had happened was my stepdad, he worked in the military and he was like a
Mhm.
communications tech guy. And
Gotcha.
so he had a lot of nerdy friends and he had a lot of like, he was really into nerdy stuff and like that kind of thing. And he had a group of friends that what they did is on work computers, which is the funniest thing, on work computers, they networked them. So they were all connected on a LAN and they installed Quake on all these different computers. And so we would go there sometimes, like go to his workplace on the base, on the military base, and we'd go to like the computer lab area. And basically, him and a bunch of his older buddies and like a bunch of his friends from work and stuff like that he would take me along and we would play Quake Arena, like the original Quake game, and
Right,
like
right.
it was crazy because I was like stomping on all these old guys, right? Because
Yep,
obviously I was
yep.
a younger guy, and I was like,
You
like
kind of picked it up a little
yeah, I
quicker.
picked
Yep,
it up
yep,
super fast, and so like I was like stomping on all these older guys, and I was like, man, first person
yep.
shooters are the fucking coolest, you know? I was like, they're the greatest game, and so that kind of like got me really hooked on like action slash shooter games, and from there I kind of like what realized like because I just thought it was like fast paced bang 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 shoot like a game of paintball, you know what I mean? Like I thought it was like
Right,
go in
right.
like fast paced like shoot 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 get the points that kind of thing. And then what really made me realize that video games were an art form and video games were something that I could be passionate about and like enjoy on a deeper level was Max Payne. When I played Max Payne for the first time, the first game, like when I first heard the voice actor be like, "It was a dark, stormy night over the city. My wife was murdered and my
Right,
baby
right.
was
Yep,
murdered,
yep. You're like,
and I'm
"Whoa,
tracking
wait a
down the
minute."
assholes who killed them." And I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! I can get emotionally invested in video games and not just, oh my god, how did you kill me?" Emotionally invested, but like what happened to the main character? Like, what can I do to save him? Like, that kind of thing, and like get invested in the story. And I was like, man, this is more than like just run and gun, shoot 'em up, like waste time, like that
Right.
kind of thing.
There's something
Like,
to this.
yeah, like
Yes.
it's like
Yep.
teabagging on enemies is fun and everything like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for getting a good kill in Battlefield and then doing the old teabag,
Oh, absolutely,
but like Max Payne kind of made me go, wait, video games can be more than just like bang bang shooty wow exciting, or the more like vapid stuff like the Nintendo stuff you were talking about, the more like family oriented, like
Right.
vapid kind of like there's no substance to it, but it's kind of a fun like Mario Party like is fun, like it's fun, but it's a different kind of fun. It's not like an emotional investment fun. The only emotional investment there is the same as with a game of Monopoly, like where
That's
you
what
get
exactly. Yep,
like where
yep.
you get pissed off at your family member for taxing you when you go on their
And you're
property.
like,
Like that's yeah, you're like, oh,
yep.
come on, man. And so
Flip
like,
the table.
fuck this, I'm out. Fuck
All
this,
that
and
good
I'm
shit.
out. And so yeah, like, and so it made me realize like, and that kind of made me more interested in like I love games with good gameplay. Like I do, like I'll enjoy a game if like there's no like story or anything like that
R-
to it if the gameplay
right,
is really good.
right.
But what Max Payne kind of taught me, at least about what I love about video games, is that I want to be emotionally invested in the story of the character in this game. Like
Exactly.
if I don't feel
Exactly.
that connection, and like so like that really hammered it home. And like you were saying, Halo, the Halo franchise, that
Great
story,
great story. Yeah.
yeah,
Great story.
like it's
Yep.
it's emotionally impactful. And I mean, yeah, it's more like the multiplayer is runny, runny, gunny, shooty, shooty, teabag on your friends. But the story, right? Like,
Great story. Fantastic. Especially for the time, like
yeah,
that was, like and that's, it's kind of funny that it's almost a guaranteed thing. Like I had a very active imagination,
Mm.
as a child. That's why I'm into my acting classes and all that kind of
Oh
stuff.
hell yeah! Speaking of which, keep an
Um,
eye out for Chronic in some movies and TV shows and all that shit.
hopefully, eventually, you will see
Yeah,
me in something soon.
you're gonna see his
Um,
beautiful face on the big screen.
not sure what, and I'm sure I probably couldn't talk about it even if I did have a gig. So, uh,
He's the next Batman. Actually, yeah.
I'm Ken Affleck.
He's gonna
Um,
play a young Robert Pattinson.
it's just me dressed up as an Edward cosplay from Twilight.
This is the skin of a
just like,
killer, Bella.
just like I am the Batman.
This is the skin of a killer, man, Bella.
I'm not.
Bella.
I, I am the vampire man. Um, but yeah, yeah. So like, so I had a
It's
very
Morbin
active
time.
imagination, and as a kid, when I realized that like I could almost live my imagination inside of these video games, especially free roam games, where I could almost like. I remember like I'd play the Transformers, the first Transformers movie from 2007. They had a
Hmm.
game come out for that for the PS2,
Great movie
Xbox.
tie-in.
Yep,
Great
yeah,
movie.
it was
Yeah,
awesome. It was great.
yeah.
I like how they did it. And but the gameplay of it was a free roam game. So I remember I would be like I'd like create my own story. I was my own Autobot or whatever, and I'd drive around. It'd be my own thing. But I could do that.
Decepticons for life.
Yeah, like or I'd be a Decepticon, or I remember one of the levels you were Black Hawk, or Blackout, which was
Yeah.
a Black Hawk helicopter,
Yep.
and I would act like I was in the military, and I'd come in for landing, and then I take back off because I'm rescuing the soldiers from the battlefield. Like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
little stuff like that that
Yeah.
my brain could just like dopamine was just flooding through my little
I
brain, and
I know, right? And it
and I,
doesn't go
and
away. It
it
doesn't go
don't
away.
it
Yeah,
don't
because
like that's why I play old games because you
yeah,
unlock that nostalgia and that
yeah,
dopamine releases, and I'm like I'm a kid again. At least
and
for a
it
good hour, I'm a
and I
kid
mean,
again.
even in newer games, like we can still pull that off, which is what I
Oh,
love. Like when you've
absolutely.
got that love for video games, because a lot of people will be like, "Man, I'm not gonna waste my time playing a video game. Like, you don't need any imagination." But like, dude, when we play The
I
Forest,
hate that word too for video games.
I know,
Waste your time. How am I wasting my time? I'm enjoying my time.
I
How is
know.
that a waste of time?
Like, okay, I'll play my video games for a couple hours with my friends and be
Hmm.
social and have a good time, like socially interacting with my friends and playing out scenarios
Which
that
is
are fun.
healthy.
And yeah, and you go ahead and doom scroll TikTok for 3.5 hours.
Exactly. Thank
Like
you.
so, and I agree entirely. But like, even when we're like playing The Forest, that's a great example because we played The
Yep.
Forest together, and like
And
when we
that's
were
a game
playing
we
that,
could drop
it's like
6 straight hours on and not realize
absolutely.
it.
And the great thing is that even though it has its own kind of story and everything like that, we insert ourselves as those characters that are there. So when we're running
Yep.
around, like like when we go into a cave, there's like real fear. You're like, man,
Exactly. We're
my
not
buddy's
just
going in the
watching
cave. Like
watching the game. We
yeah,
are in the game.
yeah. And not to say that there's anything wrong with watching games as well, because I do like I
Not by
stream
any
on Twitch,
means.
twitch.tv/Bad Names Games. Check me out.
Listen,
And
we do
Chronic totally.
understand gaming is not for everybody.
Yeah, and
Yep.
watching it is totally fine. Watching it is totally fine, but like it's one of those things where when you're playing it, like when I play Fallout 76, it's so fun to imagine like I am like a wanderer wandering around the wasteland like helping different people
It's
and I can
awesome. It's
and
awesome.
I can choose to be a raider and like, murder everybody on sight. I can choose to be a friendly, helpful fire breather or first responder or whatever and like help people out, which I do. I tend to lean to more towards the kindness angle, but I mean, no knocking against people who like the Raider angle or whatever, but like,
Right. No,
but
absolutely.
when I go in there, I can like kind of be like, oh, like like if I see somebody who's got a nice camp, I can explore their camp and be like, wow, this is amazing, and I can be like, like just kind of blown away by like the stuff that they made and the stuff that they built and that kind of thing, and like like be like give them gifts if I want to and that kind of stuff, and like you can kind of role play whoever you want. Like you can, it's almost like when a kid playing like guns, like cops and robbers with your friends or whatever, and you're running around the neighborhood with like sticks pretending they're guns, and like being like
Right.
bang bang, you're there,
Exactly. Exactly.
but it requires less mental envisioning, and you can just see it in front of you. Like me and my friends can run
Yep.
around Grand Theft Auto 5 online, and just like we can be absolute menaces to society
Yep.
and like role play it as if we're in the game.
Yep. Or we can go get some trucks and try to make it up Mount Chiliad because why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
we could jump on a couple bicycles and friggin' bike up Mount Chiliad and jump off the top.
yep.
Because
Yep.
why not, man? And so
Definitely.
That's definitely one of the things that also makes me love video games is like, aside from like the early passion for different genres and everything else, which I mean obviously like we're both into shooters, we're both into open world
Oh,
exploration games,
absolutely. Yeah.
but like it's one of those things where I think the thing that keeps me coming back to video games is the fact that like I can get on there, especially from a social aspect, because as I get older, I notice that friends have less and less time to get out of the house and everything
Yep.
else. You're exhausted from being at work, and you can't really run around the
Because
neighborhood
life's hard,
anymore.
you know?
Yeah, you
Life's
can't
hard.
really. Life is hard, and you can't really run around the neighborhood anymore, like pointing sticks at each other and going bang bang. But we
Yep.
can find time to go on Phasmophobia together and hunt down ghosts. And
Yep.
like it's goofy and it's fun,
Yep.
and we can role play like we're the Ghostbusters. Be like, all right, man, we're gonna go hunt this ghost down. It's been haunting this family for weeks, and like like go in
Right,
there and
exactly. Exactly. Yep.
like
Yep.
and just have a great time with it. And like it requires a little bit less imagination, but at the same time, you can make your own fun by adding a bit of that imagination back.
Exactly. Oh, 100%. 100%. And with that note, talking about like the games that we typically play now, like what kind of games, because of how it affected you as a child and growing into a gamer and how you became a gamer, what kind of games do you think that like you hear, not necessarily the name of it or anything like that, but the genre, like you hear like, oh, this new really cool free roam, this really cool shooter, this really cool battle royale, like what word like that gets you excited, like up front without even hearing, like obviously you want to, it makes you dive into said game because of that genre that was picked. And before we get into that, I do
Yeah.
want to point out, because you mentioned Phasmophobia,
Hmm.
they are Blumhouse Studios has confirmed they have started a writing production for Phasmophobia. And
Yep.
luckily, speaking on my acting and talent agency, they are one that works with Blumhouse Studios. So ideally, it's in the writing process now. That could take upwards of a year. So
Man,
we'll see where that's
Phasmophobia
going.
would make a fantastic movie, like as like a squad that goes in and tries to find out what kind of ghost is haunting the house and stuff like that, and it would be a good like mystery slash horror.
I wish it was a series. They announced a
That would be
movie,
dope.
but I
Dude,
wish it would have been like a 8-part series.
one series that I'm super excited about. Like we'll talk more about this in a future episode for sure. And if you buds are
Absolutely.
interested in that, comment down below if you're interested in this as a topic. But one I'm really interested in is 13 Ghosts is getting a series. So the movie 13
Oh.
Ghosts is getting a
Yeah,
series, and
yeah.
apparently each episode is going to focus on how each individual ghost became a ghost and how they got captured.
Got you.
So like
Got you.
basically like it's
That's
gonna like
really
yeah
cool.
so
That's
so
really
like
cool.
yeah so each of the ghosts will get like a different like will get a different episode showing their life before they got turned into a ghost before they got
Yep.
killed, and then
Yep.
showing how after they died how they got captured by the main guy, Cyrus I think his name is, how they got captured by him after they died. So like it'll show like their death, like their a bit of their life, their death, and them getting captured. So like
That's awesome. That's
which is
cool.
I mean
And
I'm yeah.
that drives for, because that's the thing with that's my first thought when I saw the Phasmophobia movie was, uh why a movie? Like why not
Yeah.
because there's so many
They
different
could do an
types of
episodic
ghosts.
TV show, I think. They could do
Yeah.
like an episodic TV show where it's almost like Ghost Hunters International, where they do like a different location every episode, and like the
Mhm.
whole episode is them trying to track down. And I mean, that's the thing too, is
Whatever
that
they're trying to
if they
figure
can
out.
do
Yeah.
a movie, if they can do a movie franchise with it, I would be okay with watching several
Yeah,
hour and a
that
half long. Like if they had like, like each of the houses or whatever, or each of the maps got like a movie. You know what I mean?
that'd
So it
be
was like
cool.
Phasmophobia for like for Ridgefield Lane or whatever, or like 42 Edgefield, or
That
like
would
or
be actually pretty cool.
like
That'd be
that would
pretty
be pretty
cool.
dope. Like like do it in that style where it's like they do an actual movie for each of the maps or whatever,
Mhm.
and like that
Mhm.
kind of like I would be okay with that. But it'd be a lot harder and more technical to pull off rather than doing a franchise. But I mean, I'm open to whatever. If Bloomhouse is making it, I'm willing to watch it because
Yeah, yeah, because they're usually
yeah,
usually pretty successful with their movies,
yeah,
100%.
especially their horror movies. Like they're like
Yeah,
well, that's
that's
all
like
they
their
do.
forte.
That's
Like
all they
that's yeah,
do.
that's their forte.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so like I'm excited for that. But getting back to the original topic though,
And speaking of horror movies,
oh yeah, Yeah, going back
horror
to
games.
horror games. So I'd say one that I'm very excited, the one I'm most excited about when I hear someone's like, "Oh, there's a new insert game here
Yep,
coming out that's like, going to be new that I'm going to be passionate about and I'm going to be excited about," is if it's an open world RPG.
got you, got you.
If someone's like there's a new open world RPG or action RPG like Skyrim or like Oblivion remastered, or even you could even consider like the newer Grand Theft Auto games,
Right,
because
right,
even though they are like sandbox open world games, they still have like a story to them, and you can still level up your abilities and get your better weapons and stuff like that. So in a
right. There's
roundabout way,
still an
they are
aspect to it.
there.
Yep.
There's a little bit of that RPG aspect. So like I get very excited when I hear like with GTA 6 coming out, I'm excited about that. Anytime I hear about a new Far Cry game coming out, I get excited about that.
Hmm.
I do also get big thing I get excited about now is remasters of old games, like especially ones that deserve it, like games that deserve it, like what they
And
did
you
to
mean
Oblivion.
legit remasters,
And
right?
I mean legit,
Not like
like
a
well,
definitive edition.
more like
Yeah.
remakes, like more like remakes than anything, because
Yes.
like with what they did with the Grand Theft Auto trilogy, where they like slapped a new
Yeah,
skin.
that wasn't a
Yeah,
remaster. That
they
was
slapped a new skin of paint on it, and they made it
yep.
somehow worse than
Yeah,
it was
because
originally.
they relied on a phone
Yeah, like a
app
phone
company
app developer,
studio.
which I
Yeah,
mean,
and I
which
was
can be good. Like phone games can be, but I mean, come on, when you're doing Grand Theft Auto, you got to
you just
get
wouldn't expect Rockstar
yeah,
to pull that. You know what I mean?
exactly. So, but I mean, like the Oblivion remaster looks incredible, and it's like by all intents and purposes getting glowing reviews.
Yep, yep.
They're remastering in my favorite one. This is the one I'm probably more excited about than any game in a very long time. They're remaking, not remastering, but remaking the Max Payne franchise. So they're going to do
Ooh.
Max Payne 1 and 2, because Max Payne 3 still holds up. If you play Max Payne 3 to this day and you look at it visually, it still looks incredible.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yep.
plays
I
great.
agree.
I mean,
Yep,
I
it still
am
does
kind of
great.
pissed off that they made Max like shave his head and everything else. Like I don't love the remodel of the character of Max Payne, like cuz they make it like
That
it
was a
looks like they
weird
have
time era for games though, whenever they
yeah.
took like
Yeah.
old characters and tried to revamp them. Even Agent
Yeah,
47 from the Hitman franchise went through a
yeah.
weird change, you
They
know.
gave him like an edgy, gritty like makeover to that. I mean, he was already gritty and edgy
Yeah,
enough. They didn't
they
need to.
didn't make him they made him I don't know, they just changed it. It
Yeah,
was different.
they didn't need to get rid of Max Payne's like trench coat and stuff like that, because
No.
he was supposed to be a noir like New York detective.
Mhm.
So having that trench coat and everything else gave him that whole like it was a tall glass of water that walked into my office that day,
Yep, yep,
and she, you know,
exactly.
like that kind of thing. And they made him more like Miami Vice, kind of like you know
Yeah.
like which
Yep,
is
like
like I mean
suspenders only type of
yeah,
yeah, like yeah,
which
yeah.
is like hey cool, but like you know like it's Max Payne, you know, like he's supposed to be like that gritty New York detective, and you made him more like a bodyguard in like Miami, you know what I mean? And it's
Right,
like
right.
and it's like cool, I get it, but at the same time, I would have preferred if they stuck with the original like character design, because he was so iconic. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
the actor whose face they used was so iconic, which is cool because they're bringing him back for the next Max
Which is
Payne game.
awesome. Yep, which is
They're bringing
great.
him
Yep.
back, which is dope because he was actually in Alan Wake too.
Thank goodness they're not using Mark Wahlberg.
I
Anyways,
know Mark Wahlberg. Say hi to your mother for me. But Mark, say hi to your mother for me, Wahlberg. But basically, but they're bringing back the original actor who played the face of Max Payne. He didn't do the voice, but he did the face of Max Payne, and they're bringing him back. And when they do the remaster, he's going to be involved heavily. So they're going to like actually use mocap with him, his face, that character. They like the voiceover.
nice,
I think is going to be done
nice.
by the original voice actor, which is good. But basically, it's one of those things where I'm so excited for that, because if they those games, Max Payne 1 and Max Payne 2, like to this day, I can play them. I could load them up and play them today and enjoy them just as much as I did the first time I played them. And like I even though I know the story, I know every story beat, I know every moment, I know like all the different scenes in the different areas and all the different maps like the back of my hand. I could still load it up and play it like it's the fresh first time I played it. And so
Right.
the
It
fact that
just
they're
has that feeling.
yeah,
Yep.
and so the fact that they're remaking it and they're gonna do it with modern graphics, with modern like controls, with modern like everything like that, and like all the textures, all the maps and everything are gonna be redone with new modern technology in consideration. Like I'm beyond excited for that. Like that's
Oh,
so one.
absolutely.
So those are probably the
Absolutely.
ones I get most excited about. I think is like either when it's a new open world RPG like Expedition 33, best turn-based game I've played in a long time. It's
Mhm.
very much like an open world, like RPG type game, with CRPG elements and stuff like that. But like I would have to say that remasters and remakes of older games are
Get you
without a
excited.
doubt they
Yep.
get me really excited because and that's the thing too is it's funny because I hate when they do that with movies, but I like when they do it with
Right.
video games.
Yep.
Like
Well,
I
because it actually makes a difference, if
yeah
that makes
like
sense. You know what I mean?
exactly it does
Yeah, yeah.
because like a movie they
Right.
tend
If done
to
correctly.
yeah like a movie they tend to rehash the same story but
Yes.
worse.
Yeah, they do something
You
different
know,
about it.
like
You
they
know.
like worse like the new Lilo and Stitch. I don't want to get political or anything like that, but fuck that movie. Like that, like fuck that movie. If you like the new Lilo and Stitch, power to you. I'm not gonna get upset with you or anything like that. This isn't a shot at you, but the original story was like the whole premise was the Ohana means family or whatever, and that
Mhm.
and that sticking with your loved ones, especially if they care for you greatly, like you make things like you can make things work and you can do it in a way that everybody gets to be happy and healthy and you stay together and loved as a family. And the new Lilo and Stitch is like, yeah, if it's not convenient to have your little sister around anymore, just give her away so that you can go to college.
Right.
You know, it's like, it's not convenient for me to like it's like cool, like let's all advocate for education, but her neighbor could have been a babysitter while she was going to school instead of like her giving up her sister to another
It'd be like
family.
giving up your kid because you're like, oh, I got to go to work.
That's like being like, oh man, shit, like I want to go back to university, so I'm gonna like give away my kid to my neighbor and then take off to another state or another province or another country to go to school. And like,
Yep.
yeah, I'll still visit my family member or whatever. But it's like, dude, like the whole premise of the original movie was that they had to stick together no matter what, and they made it work. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
and it worked out well in the end. They were all happy. They were together. It was good. And the new one, it's like, no, none of that, right? So they
I will.
they
The only thing I will say that they nailed with the new movie is they did not, which I think studios are afraid to do this now because of the whole Sonic situation. They did not botch how Stitch looked.
yes, they
Stitch
nailed
is,
that. They did nail
yeah,
that.
Stitch looked great. He looked
And the actors,
fantastic.
and this is the thing too, is the story has nothing to do with the actors that they chose for the movie as well, because the
I heard
actress
they
that
did
they
a
got
great
to,
job too.
yeah, the actress that they got to play Lilo is perfect for Lilo. The actress they got for Nani, like they look amazing and perfect for the role, and I'm sure that their acting was incredible. But the writing of the story itself was just dog shit, and that's what always happens is when they
It's
remake
the writers.
an old movie or they remake
It's called the
like
Disney effect.
it's true, yeah. When they
Hmm.
remake the classic movies, like they take some of the soul out of it, and there's some movies that just don't deserve a remake. Like Snow White didn't need a remake. I'm not
No,
going to knock on the actress either because the actress, once again, a lot of people on the internet hated on her. She was fantastic for what she was given for the movie, but like the fact that she said online that Snow White has a problematic story, and people took that to be
yeah, that
like,
was her biggest problem. Is she
like
kept bashing the movie.
well,
That
rightfully so, because like I hate to break it to everybody, but the story of Snow White is fucking problematic, dude. Like it's like first of all, like this girl, like that's it's fine. Like living with dudes, that's fine. That's fine. That's not the problem. The problem is that we live in 2025. You can't just go up to random sleeping bitches and start making out with them. You can't. Like you can't. If there's a girl asleep who you don't know and you walk up and start kissing on her, that's a problem, bro. I'm sorry. Don't do that.
I totally get where
Like
that's
don't do
creepy.
that.
But my
Like
biggest argument against that is a 10-year-old isn't going to think twice about that.
and that's why we need to not show it to 10-year-olds because the 10-year-old's going to look at it and think it's totally like fine for the story and stuff like that, and then eventually that 10-year-old's going to be a
Kinda. I
teenager.
mean, that's
It's
hard to
important to teach
say
them. It's
because
important to teach
I
them about
never
consent
did. You
young.
know what I mean?
I did, man. I thought, oh, like if you find a fairy princess and you kiss her, then like well, I didn't because I wasn't an
But
idiot.
I knew it had to be a fairy
I
princess.
know, but
You
like,
know what
and
I
we're
mean?
not. But also, we have to keep in mind that we're not idiots either, right? Like, you have to keep in mind, like, when you're making
I feel
when
like it does kind of follow along the lines of parenting a little
and that's
bit.
what I
You
mean.
know?
Like, it's like when you what because like it's one of those things where we need to teach our kids young about consent and having stories
Oh yeah.
where the whole storyline revolves around no consent or like a lack of consent. It's not really a great thing to be showing to people in general. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, especially also the fact that it's like the whole princess needs saving situation because you got two daughters, and I hope they grow up knowing that they don't need anyone to save them.
except for
Like
me.
they, well, like, no, Daddy's always there to protect them. Daddy's always there to protect them.
Yep.
But they know, they should know that they are strong enough,
Oh, absolutely,
like to like that they
absolutely.
don't need a man to come and save them. You know what I mean? Like they don't need a
My
man.
oldest already tells
To,
me what to do.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, so they should know. Looks like we're running low on time here, but basically, yeah, we got about 10 minutes.
Gotcha. Cool, cool, cool.
But it's one of those things where like they'll know that they don't need a man to come save them. They're
Oh, 100%.
perfectly capable
You
of
know,
taking care of themselves. Like they don't need to worry about a prince coming along, and like their life won't be incomplete without a prince coming and saving them. You know, and
absolutely.
like
They know that they do have
and that's what I mean.
an
And
aspect in this life that's to them
that's
and to
them,
them
and
only.
they're
You know.
strong. They are strong. They are capable, and they're a strong individual themselves, regardless of whether they're a boy or a girl. And the old Disney movies tended to lean very heavily on the "we need a man to come save us," like when it comes to women every time, right? And
Yep.
so. And that's why I think a lot of old Disney movies, like they're great for what they were at the time. They're awesome for historical like relevancy. They're awesome for like the animation style and stuff like that and everything else, but we don't need to rehash those stories. We need to make new stories that involve
Well,
people
yeah,
not
that's my
being,
biggest issue with the remakes of movies. You know, some
yeah,
movies the remakes are flawless.
yeah,
Some of them, you
yeah,
know, some of them they do great,
and some of
but
them they need it.
some of them they do. Some of them I'm
Yeah,
like, hey,
some of them
this
like
could
you're like
actually
this is
probably
an
do
incredible
well.
story, but they didn't film it very well the first time they
Yeah,
made it.
let's try this again. You know,
Yeah,
I think they could
let's
do
do
it.
it. Let's do it in a better way.
But yeah,
Like
so
Shallow
okay,
House was
so we got
great.
way off topic.
Hmm.
So let me let me get back to what genre gets me amped.
Yes, yes, yes. Game
And
genre you love.
so open world just by default. If
Yeah.
it's open world, I'll definitely kind of like, you know, bat an eye. You know, I'll be
Hmm.
like, okay, what's this about? But honestly, in the past like 3 or 4 years, and this is fantastic for my streaming and my YouTube uploading and content and stuff like that because people love it. Because you know I endured the face cam whenever
Yeah.
I like to stream and stuff. I feel if I don't have it, I feel less connected with my
Hmm.
audience.
Hmm.
And so it's definitely horror. If I see something horror pop up, especially if it's horror open world survival,
Well, if
that's why
they
the
said
forest
if
is
they
my
said the
cup of
Forest
tea.
3, yeah, if they said the Forest 3 is coming out like tomorrow, you would be like your head would explode.
Absolutely, I'd be like, because especially now that I know that in-night games make such a point to innovate what they did in the last game. So if I
Yeah.
heard that they were doing a Sons of the Forest or the Forest 3 or whatever they'd call it, I'd be
Now with
like, what the
segues.
yeah, I'd be like, well, yeah, what the what the hell are they gonna do this time? You know, like what kind of crafting shit, what kind of
Yeah.
whatever, you know, like
Yeah.
that's what I'm excited for. And then horror games in general, because a lot of horror games, if done right, they have fantastic stories. Like
Oh yeah.
like the Outlast franchise was
Oh my god.
fantastic. The second one was okay, was did not live up to the first one.
We'll have
The
to do an
Resident
entire, I think like when we start doing some of our lore episodes, like for like Halo lore and for
yeah,
other like
yeah,
to
that
break
kind of
down
stuff.
more
Yep.
in-depth things, like Outlast is absolutely one we're going to have to cover cuz it's
100%.
crazy lore.
100%. And actually, one of my favorite horror games of all time, I think it was back in I can't remember, but I want to say it was like 3 months ago. Excuse me. They just revealed that Alien Isolation 2 has just started development, and it's by Sega Games again.
Yeah.
Um, and like the original writers are coming back to it, so it's gonna be because the way they ended the first game was definitely a segue into hey, there's probably gonna be a second one.
Yeah.
But I remember waiting 2 years, nothing. 3 years, nothing. 6 years, nothing. seven
Yeah.
years, nothing. Finally, here we are,
Yeah.
11 years later,
And
and
I
we
think
finally got an
yeah.
announcement for our second game.
And I
But I'm
think the
just
reason
as
why
excited.
with that genre with that game specifically, I think what got that one kind of like pushed back, like the reason why they didn't make one or start working on one immediately is because when Isolation first came out, it was jank. There was like the AI for the alien was broken, like the game was a little bit janky and they fixed it. Like they did fix it
Pretty
very
quickly
quickly.
too.
Like
Pretty
very
quick,
quickly,
yeah.
but like it's one of those things where like with a lot of games when it comes
Oh,
out and
did
it's
you get it on
broken,
play sorry, did you get it on PlayStation?
yeah.
Okay, I remember that specifically because Xbox did was one of the rare games that had a okay release for
Yeah.
the Alien Isolation. It
Yeah.
just had a bug here and there. It had crash problems. That's what it was. The game would just
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
Where for some reason the PlayStation port was like you
It,
said,
it was
fudder ducked.
jank. It
It
was
was
jank. You
fudder
could like,
ducked.
yeah, you
Yeah.
could walk into a room and the alien would just be like standing in the middle of the
It's
room,
like they
like,
released like it's like they released 1.0 on Xbox, but released point 0.8 on
yeah,
PlayStation.
like
Like,
the
you
beta
know.
version, yeah, the beta. But and like, and so like a lot of the time when a game comes out where the initial release is bad, people will give up on it immediately, and it's very few and far between where a game like there's games like Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky where they had a bad launch, but they put a lot of work into it and people came
They,
back to it.
yes, yes.
Like whereas like there's a lot of games where it has a bad launch, and even if they fix it and they repair the problems very quickly and very readily, people just don't come back to it. They're just kind of like, ah, fuck that, I got burnt by
Right,
it, I'm not
right.
going back.
Yep.
And I was even like that for a while with Cyberpunk. I was like, fuck that, I'm not going back to it, it's like broken and I don't want to play it. But it definitely got a lot better, and they fixed it, and I'm glad I did go back to it. But there are still some people to this day that are like, "No Man's Sky sucks," and I'm like, "No, dude, it sucked when it launched. It's great now.
It's a pretty solid game
Yeah,
now.
it's great now."
Absolutely. That's a lot of
And
people say that too about like and there's certain games that just like if you had a certain expectation of release and it wasn't even like that and they fixed the bugs. Like a perfect example, one of the biggest disappointments I ever had in gaming personally was Tom Clancy's The Division, the
oh my
very
god,
first one.
yeah,
Because that demo trailer that they released whenever they were showing like going down Manhattan and they were following the squad, the map opened up on the ground and they really were trying to sell the game as you get with your squad, you get to go in this post-apocalyptic New York, you get to go loot, you get to go get different stuff, weapons, attachments, maybe build a little base. It was almost like they were going to release a DayZ, but not zombies
yeah,
inside of me. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
like a
and
post-apocalyptic, not zombie scenario in
right,
like in a big
exactly.
city.
That's what they were selling practically. And then they came released, and it was a looter shooter,
Yeah,
and it had many bugs. They fixed the bugs, but it still remained the same concept. And I could never go back to it because I'm like, this is not what I thought it was going to be at all.
no, no, and so it's one of those things where, like, I mean, obviously, I think that is a good idea for us to talk more in depth about games that are like that. Were maybe we can do another episode in the future. Again, comment down below if you want to see it. But
Absolutely,
we
because we'll
can do an
definitely have
episode
more
in the
gaming
future
related episodes for sure.
where there are games that were broken at launch that they fixed and that like we're very interested in
Did it
playing.
save them? Yep.
Yeah,
Did it
did it
save them?
save them?
Yep.
Did it not save them? And that kind of thing. But it does look like we are running out of time for today.
Yep.
So I'm thinking we should probably call it here. But if you're interested in more episodes, like I said, comment down below. Let us know. We're all ears, and we would love to hear from you.
Absolutely, and I'm so happy that we had this opportunity to finally get this podcast started. This is actually, if you guys obviously you don't know, so you know now. This has been a long, long time in the making. A lot of personal life experiences, a lot of changes, a lot of
Yep.
different moves in our life patterns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Hell,
Shank had a whole fire happen to him,
he's had two
so.
kids since we started talking about this. So
Exactly. Like that's how long we've been talking about this. So it's
yeah.
really refreshing and almost like a weight has been lifted off my shoulder knowing that
Yeah.
okay, we're finally initiated here. We got the we got everything situated and depending on how this goes, like it's this is going to be a wild yet fun ride it's just going to be
Yep.
awesome. And I can't wait to build a community, build the Chronic Total Vision vision that we have for it, and it's just the ride that we have these next 5 years are going to be life changing,
Yeah, we are
absolutely life
excited,
changing.
excited, excited to invite all of you along for that journey. So, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, all of that down there. We're going to roll the outro. Thank you for staying around for this episode, and we'll see you on the next one. So that's it for today's episode. Share your opinions on the topic in the comments section so we know how you feel about things, or maybe suggest some future episode ideas.
Also, you can check out our social media on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and more in the description below.
If you're watching or listening on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe because it helps us fight the algorithm overlords.
And thank you all for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you next time on the Chronic and Shank Variety Conversation podcast.
For winners and really cool people.